Hello, my name is Zach Rye with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another Snap Judgment review. I'm really excited about this one because it has an extra disclaimer. We'll get there though. What's a Snap Judgment review if you have never listened before? Well, I think game reviewers nowadays get a little bit too caught up with 100%ing or near completing a game and then forget what it's like to play it right off the bat. So I'm trying to give you an idea whether you are going to enjoy it right away. I only get about 5 to 10 hours with the game before I make the review. That coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I won't be giving a score to this review. And instead, I will be giving you an overview of what the game is. Then I will be listing the pros and the cons of the game and my point of view. And then I will be telling you whether I will be sticking with this game outside the purposes of this review or not. Now, what are we reviewing? That comes with my second disclaimer. In the 7+ years that I've been doing this YouTube channel, I have never received a promotional copy of a game, nor have I ever been asked to do a game review or do content on a game via press stuff. That changed because I was contacted. I got the copy from Izayori Sora and the publisher Zon Entertainment with the idea of doing some content based on this. So I do want to say thank you to them. And I also want to say really quickly that it's only a $5 game, so I am going to probably be purchasing it for somebody else at some point, just so that you guys all know that my reviews stay on the up and up. Just because that's how I like to roll. But I still want to thank them for doing this, reaching out to me. So I think I'm going to do a video about this here. Then I'm going to do a video about a couple of videos about this. Maybe 5 things I want to see in the game. Maybe also like a beginner's guide to the game sort of thing. So yeah, so let's get into it. Invoker Tactics, what is it? Well, this is a very simple, very independent little game. I find it very interesting. There's not really a story to it or anything like that, at least not at this particular juncture. Basically, what happens in this game is you are on this like gridded chessboard type thing. Each character can move all the way to any space, kind of like a rook would in chess, all the way to the edge or all the way to back in kind of like a cross shape. There are some characters that have different kind of ways of moving, but if they land and there is an enemy within their attack range, they'll attack them. Each one of these characters, every character you get has kind of its own attack, its own way of moving, its own way of functioning. You play against the computer. The computer spawns some baddies for you to take on. And then what's interesting about this, to add another level of strategy to it, is when you run one of your guys into another guy, they merge. They create this one-time effect that's listed on the character, and then one of your characters from your deck, or one of the two characters merging if you don't have a character in your deck, gets kind of formed. You can only have so many out to start, and then each round, if you have characters in your deck, they will kind of spawn. What's interesting here too is it's kind of got some roguelite options to it. Basically what happens is you decide to pick your deck. You can have up to 5, but you have to save up some gold to get it. You start with only 3 to start. And then right off the bat you get a selection of an easy, a medium, or a hard kind of round. You fight through 10 rounds to get to the boss, and if you beat the boss, you get like a little victory. There's nothing else to that there. But if you do the easy, you get 1 coin. If you do the medium, you get 2 coins. If you do the red, the hard, you get 3 coins. There's also a burst option. If you spend 10 coins, it means that if you succeed the next round, then you will get 20 plus coins added to your purse. But all of the bad guys are hyped up. They're made into fire bad guys or something along those lines. And yeah, what else is interesting too is The deck building option, so if you select, so at the end of each round that you succeed, you get an option of, you get 3 different options of 2 different characters procedurally generated that you can select to add to your deck for the next round. Any characters you lose in a round, they're dead, they're gone. As far as moving on the board, everybody gets 5 moves, but you don't move with one character. You can move all 5 with one character, or you can spread them out between each character, which creates some slight issues we're going to talk about a little bit later, but overall is a very interesting, unique way to do it. Each character also has an attack and an HP. When the HP is reduced to 0, it is dead. So it's pretty, like I said, very simple concept. And I like games like that where they're very simple concepts, but they're hard to master, so to speak. And that's what this is. I also do want to point out that the developer has already done 2 updates since he gave me the free copy, so I would say like a week. So he's definitely still working on this game, still working on it. So I think personally it could be something really special when it's all done. And it's only $5. You can't really beat that price. You're definitely going to kill a couple of hours. I found myself rather addicted to it after I, kind of played it enough to figure out exactly what I was doing. Because you have to kind of balance the merging of characters. Because when you merge the characters, whatever character you end up with has full health again. But you're taking 2 characters and making it into one. And if at any point in time you have no characters on the board, you lose, no matter how many characters are in your deck. So it's kind of an interesting dichotomy with that, the balancing of that. So let's go ahead and get into the pros and the cons of this game. So we're going to start with the pros. The simple concept. I love the simple concept. Even without the strongest tutorial, and I'm not saying it's a bad tutorial, it shows you all of the ways to do the fights. The only thing I didn't really like about it was it didn't really show you how to do everything on the back end. I had to kind of figure that out on my own for a while, and then his most recent update though kind of corrected that, which is really nice. But at the core, it's this simple concept that's very easy to understand, that is fun and time-consuming, which I really enjoyed that about it. I also like the diversity of the pieces. There are tons of pieces in this game. And then once you get into the fact that there are different versions of each of these pieces, that it's very exciting to think about the combinations and how you can put them together on a board, and how they would work together for you. I think that's really cool. It really activates my collectible card game part of my brain, and I like the collecting. I like the fact that, like, when I go to select a reward, if I want to unlock more of a certain type of character, I have to select that certain type of character as a reward, even if it wouldn't be beneficial to my team. Because for every 3 times you select them as a reward, you get another one that you can put in your deck to start, which I think is really cool. I think that's a really cool start. It's a really cool idea. And then finally, the deep combos. There's these deep combos to it with the how the characters work. Like I said, I've been playing this for a really long time now, 5 hours. That's a long time to play a game like this, and I'm still kind of learning some of the combos and some of the characters. I find it really fun and interesting that there are so many pieces and so many different combinations. I think as this game progresses, maybe gets some more modes, maybe gets refined, it will be really, really cool just with that base that he's got. We do have to talk about some of the cons, though. I crossed off the tutorial one because I was going to kind of complain about the tutorial. But again, I think he solved that a little bit. One of the things that I really didn't like when I was playing it was I couldn't tell what the difference between the colors and the selection were, and I couldn't even tell like what I was trying to accomplish in a lot of things. The overall, I mean, not in the matches themselves. And I think he's corrected that a lot. It much more cleanly shows you like what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I think that can only get better from there. So cross that off the cons. That's not a concern. It is definitely a good enough tutorial. I will say there's some accidental merging. So this isn't played with a controller. It's played on PC with a mouse. I've definitely accidentally merged characters when I didn't really want to. And it's because if you've selected a character, it brings up their little move track. And then you absentmindedly think, I'm going to go select another character because I don't want to move them. But it ends up, if they're in that move track, it ends up moving the character that you're on to that character and merging, which is the way it's supposed to be. But it just creates this weird situation where, like, you have to click just an empty box, then click on the character you want, just to make sure you don't accidentally merge, because there's definitely a couple of games I lost because I just accidentally moved somebody that I didn't want to move. The biggest one, I think, is the no save during the game. It's like, in fairness, it's a relatively short thing. I played an entire round to victory, and it took me 28 minutes. So it's not a long thing, but still, if I'm like halfway through a game and something comes up, I kind of want to save where I'm at. I don't necessarily, you can't do that. There's no way to do that. I think there should be some sort of save function here so that you could save your run, especially if we get something that I'd like to see added later, which we'll talk about in later videos, but more modes and an extension of that gameplay. I think we definitely need a save feature of some sort. And then my final con that I'm going to talk about is just, I don't know how he corrects this, because in some ways I really like the fact that you can move any character 5 times, but it puts you in these weird situations where strategically you have the upper hand, and you lose a piece you don't want to, just because the computer can only move one character and just attacks the same person over and over again. I think that, like, there's also, like, if you're losing, you're not going to win. Like, it's very hard to come back from anything. There's no comeback of options or abilities here. And maybe that's the game. Maybe just stay on top is how you win. And that is how I've won so far. It's just, I do like games where I strategically can fight from under and come out on top later, where this does not feel like you have that in any shape or form. And I think most of it stems from the fact that you can just move one character over and over again. What is interesting is the fact that, like, if a character moves into range with more than one character, it's random who they attack. So that's how you can kind of be defensive, is keep your characters in clusters. Still, just from playing it, it's very hard to do that. So I think that, like, I think there's something to be said about maybe changing something about the way the characters move. Just a thought, though. Overall, whether or not I'm going to stick with it, yes, I'm going to stick with it. This person saw fit to reach out to my channel of 628 subscribers and give me a press pass to do some videos. I'm definitely going to do some videos. I think that it's really cool that they reached out, and we've got to support artists like this. This is $5. It's definitely worth $5, more than $5 in my opinion, especially knowing how much this person is probably going to add to this game in the future. It definitely seems like a labor of love. So go check it out. $5. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to probably do 2 more videos on it in the next month or so. And yeah, I think it's a cool game. Every time this guy updates it, I'm gonna come back to it and try and play it. I think that it's an interesting experiment, and I think that it has a lot of potential. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? You guys can tell me in the comments below. You can also reach me on Discord. Link is in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. And as long as you keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. See you guys next time. Damn it! You fucker.